let me go do a startup. And this is, when startups were kind of becoming cool. I was like, raised $3 million each for 2 little companies, right? Both of them failed. I was humiliated because all my friends in film were like watching to see, like, Puri left film. He's going to go do the startup thing. And when they did not work, I'm telling you, I hated going to the dry cleaners because you'd bump into your friend Nell, who's like, hey, Steven, how's it going with your thing? And you're like, terrible. Actually, I'm going to close it. We're going to basically go bankrupt. And yeah, I'm ashamed and embarrassed. I need to go now. Can I have my clothes?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the What the Nell podcast with yours truly, Nell Tice. I am, if you can't tell by my voice, or you can see on the screen, I am smiling from ear to ear because I have an amazing guest.
It's going to be fun today.
It's going to be so much fun. We've already had so much fun. It's only been 15 minutes since we started talking.
Yeah, all the good stuff was before we started recording.
I know. Now it's just going to suck. So you may as well just turn it off. It's fine.
Exactly.
Here we go. Everything's fine.
Calculus 101. So X equals.
My guest today is Steven Puri. Puri. I feel like I need to say it more with like purity, like Puri. Like just, I don't know.
Ooh,
it deserves more.
That's a nice spin.
Regal attention, I think. But my guest here is one that is no stranger to business. He has been an executive on 2 film lots, has generated over 21 million in venture, and is the founder of the Sukha, which in Sanskrit means happiness.
This is true.
Yeah.
So far, this is going great. Okay.
So far,
What's
so
next?
good, right? So, everyone, please welcome Steven to the podcast. Welcome, Steven. Officially.
Thank you for a lovely introduction. For those playing along at home or in their cars, the reason to listen to this episode is we're not only going to have fun, it'll be fun and engaging, but also it really touches upon some subjects that I've heard Nell talk about before around, the mental tips and tricks and techniques you can use to do more in less time, be a little healthier with your spirit and your energy. So if this is something we've wrestled with distractions, we're going to talk about it. If this is something you wrestled with procrastination, hello, guilty as charged. We'll talk about stuff like that and get into things that you can do with some fun stories of really productive people that I watched in film and in tech.
Oh man! Oh my goodness! This is a conversation, you guys.
And it's going to be all in English, all in color. Big episode.
Well, I mean, I guess I have control over the color grading, so.
My publicist has final approval, so you're going to fight it out with her. Yeah, just saying.
Well, first of all, we love a good colorful episode. So how about that?
Here we go. Yes.
So, Steven, you have all of this experience in film lots. Okay, so the first thing that I think of, and you're going to probably hate me for saying this, is
oh boy.
The first thing that comes to my head is
oh no,
Dawson Leary, Dawson's Creek, aspiring filmmaker. Is that not
wow,
the weirdest
this went
thing?
0 dark 30. Wow. Okay.
I have so many questions. I mean, what's it really like on a film studio? How did you get to this place now where you're so
I'm going to tell you something funny. When I am interviewed by any guy over 30 years old, that is not their question. Their question is invariably, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I'm telling you, it is. You can predict it in the first minute of the conversation when they're like, hey, Steven, here on stage with me is... So, Steven, I got to ask. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I'm like, I should have bet someone they were going to ask that. So that's, you win. I never would have predicted you'd ask that. I didn't do a lot in film, in television. I did more in film. So I will say how can I best answer your question? There are amazing things about working in film, in that there are some writers with whom you work that write from a deep understanding of human nature. There are not many of them. Most writers you work with have seen a lot of movies, and they kind of stitch together things that they've seen. They pattern match, very much like, an LLM, AI I was talking about. LLMs are really just probability engines. They're kind of like Google autocomplete going, oh, if you type, the day looks like it is they're going to guess 30% chance rainy, 20% chance, busy or something. So most screenwriters, just to be super blunt, they do write like a probability engine. They've seen movies. They know the next scene has to be the one where he discovers from the girlfriend's best friend that, she was out last night with someone else, like that sort of thing, right?
Sure.
So you do, on the upside, work with some writers, which I happen to work with a bunch of them, that really deeply understand humans, and they're writing from their soul, right? It's not, oh, this is that scene from Casablanca ripped off because no one remembers Casablanca, right? So that's really, really fun. Because then you end up in deep conversations about, why this story should be told, how it should be told, things like that. Also, you work with some great artists, right? It is also a business. It's called, as the joke goes, it's called show business, not show art.
Exactly.
So there is an aspect of, hey, this kind of art form requires, at least the kind of movies I did, summer movies, it requires $100-200 million to gamble. So a lot of people have voices. It is not like going in the attic and painting on your easel. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you do end up with large corporations that have P&Ls, and they are projecting out a year, 2 years from now. I mean, when you consider the movie I'm working on, that'll be a sequel to the sequel to the sequel, it's already been in the financial projections, in the stock reports for next spring. They've already told you, we're going to have this sequel out next spring. We haven't written it yet, but it will probably generate $300 million of cash, and that's why you should buy our stock today. I mean, that's an incredible amount of planning that then back into the decision. So I say it to say it's super fun in many ways. You get flown to film festivals, you get to work with creative people, you get to do all that, but it is at that level very much a business with a P&L, and you survive based on that P&L.
Sure.
How's that for an answer?
That's a great answer.
And you go to fun pool parties in the hills. Yay!
Oh, with all these beautiful people, I'm sure. But I have to imagine that being on a film lot and being in some of the positions that you've been in have been extremely stressful. So when you talk about, P&Ls and
As you look at me, I'm actually 22 years old. It's aged me, Nell. It's aged me.
I mean, how do you as a human being, when you're so, Hollywood and movies and film sets is so engulfing. How do you as a human being remain so centered and get into yoga? Down dog.
I'm just saying, we should do this episode in Down Dog. You and I talked about this.
We did. We talked about it. I think maybe we need to have a series where it's one pose per podcast episode.
See? There you go. And work through. It's like you can sequence this month we're going to be doing, inversions. Right? Trust me, the episode where we do the handstands is going to be a short episode for me. I can give you maybe 5 minutes. That's about it.
You're going to get me at best a reel out of me. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Okay, so back to what you're saying. So there is absolutely an aspect of film that is, oh man, this is amazing. We're making huge fun entertainment. As a child, I watched Die Hard. Now I'm the executive on Die Hard 5. Super cool.
What?
There's another part. What?
That's cool.
Right, it is cool. It's actually the chairman of Fox Film and Entertainment. Part of his pitch to me when he recruited me from DreamWorks is he said, listen, if you come here, I will not just double your salary. Just tell me what your salary is. I will double it. He said, I will give you the Die Hard franchise to run. You probably grew up watching Die Hard. I was like, I did.
My gosh.
You can be the executive of the next Die Hard movie. We're starting development on it. Do you want that movie? And I was like, wow. And my friends cautioned me about Fox. They're like, News Corp is not value aligned with you. It is not a place for people like you. But I was like, I could do Die Hard, man. Yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll give you the Wolverine franchise and things like that. You can run these here as the, senior executive on these projects. And it was, I'm not going to lie, it's pretty appealing. Once I was inside Fox for a couple of years, I was like, yeah, this is absolutely values mismatch. And this was, if not a mistake, it was a very interesting learning experience. Coming from DreamWorks, which I loved. Like for 4 years, I was there. I was an executive vice president with Kurtzman Orsi over at DreamWorks. Oh. And, that is the last studio run by a filmmaker. That is a studio where, like, at night, the ethos is go home tonight, Nell, and see if you can make your projects 1% better.
Yeah.
And at News Corp at Fox, it was go home tonight and see if you can make your projects 1% cheaper. That's not as inspiring, but it's a good business decision. Hey, man, do we really need Bruce to jump out of a tank? Could he jump out of a car? Yeah, sure. It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we really need Bruce to be in Paris? Could he just be in some Eastern Soviet bloc country? Yeah, he could. It's cheaper.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so interesting listening to those stories of, I mean, how that impacts the story is huge.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's really messing with the creative process here.
This is a water. When you hear us open, this is not me drinking a beer at 2 p.m. Okay, this is a water.
Listen,
I know I'm in Texas.
We don't judge here, especially in the Northeast. We'd
you don't
rather
judge,
be
but
drinking
you
a beer.
You label now.
Oh my gosh. All right. So from film studios and lots to the Sukha. So
the Sukha.
How on earth, how does one get here? Like, take us through that gap in the story from the studios and the lots to the Sukha.
Okay. To understand that gap, I need to tell you how we got to that place.
Let's do it.
So it's sort of like, how did you end up jumping from this cliff to this cliff? Well, I have to tell you how I ran to the edge of this cliff to tell you how I jumped, right? So, and this is probably a good 3 or 4 minute story. So buckle your seatbelts. Those who are driving, just get ready to get bored, pull over, take a nap while I talk, okay? So here's the funny thing. A lot of people don't know this, but I am the son of 2 engineers at IBM. Dad was a hardware engineer designing logic chips, essentially CPUs. Mm-hmm. Mom was a software engineer, a systems programmer. And you know, when you're little, if your mom's like Olympic ice skater, you probably learn to ice skate. It's just how things go in a family, right? Yeah. So I learned to code, and I'd go with Mom off to the computing center, and she'd be working on her real stuff, and I'd get to submit little jobs because essentially it's cheaper than a babysitter to have me just sit there and here you go, work on this terminal. So I went to USC in Los Angeles, and because I grew up back in Northern Virginia, and going to USC was a stroke of luck for me, because even though I wasn't sure I was going to be in engineering when I left, or I had a degree in business, I was working on a bunch of stuff, a lot of my friends in the dorm were cinema TV students because it has one of the best cinema schools in the world, right? Sure. So invariably, with like 3 guys on the hallway, Tuesday night, you go to see some movie, you end up at a diner talking about movies for hours, and you do that for a couple of years, and you start to have a little vocabulary around movies. And I was in Los Angeles when, wait for it, film went digital. Computers were suddenly powerful enough to manipulate film. So you had non-linear editing computers like Avid, you had Pro Tools to edit sound, you had Silicon Graphics computers to make computer-generated images, and in that little Venn diagram of people who could speak engineer and people who could speak creative, I sat in that very small cohort, which did wonders for my career coming out of school. It was like, hey, kid, you know, like being plucked out of the chorus line, like, hey, you sing, you dance, come here, come forward on the stage, right? So I ended up randomly producing computer-generated effects for movies. I did about 14 of them. This is how I got into film doing that, right? So I worked with Cameron on True Lies, Fincher on Seven, De Palma on Carlito's Way, Mel on Braveheart and Immortal Beloved, a whole bunch of shows. And that led me to meet Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, because they needed someone to produce the digital effects for Independence Day, this movie they were starting at Fox, right? So I met them. We got along really well. It was a soul-crushing movie because, again, Fox is super cheap. So it was one of those things where it's like, hey, can we have a pencil? And they're like, fill out this form in triplicate. We just want a pencil. Fill out the form. Like, oh, I'll just write in blood. It's fine. So we did that. And Roland D and I got along really well. As you know, the movie won the Academy Award for visual effects, which is great for everyone's career. And Roland D and I were like, let's start a company together to do this. So I raised about $15 million. We started a company to do that in my 20s and ran that for 4 years. Sold that when I was 28. A company called Das Werk came in and bought me, Roland and Dean out. it was a really nice exit. It was like a 6x multiple for our investors.
Yeah.
I'm suddenly 28 years old thinking I'm really smart and so successful. You know, all the stupid things you think in your 20s. You know, I'm funnier than I am. I'm more successful. I'm smarter than I am. No, I was just super lucky. Let's be honest. But learned a lot.
Yeah.
And that was when I took 2 years off. And I was like, okay, what do I want to do next? Because I don't want to wake up, be 30, 40, 50 years old, making the effects for someone else's movie. How could I make a movie? And I got on that ladder, and that's how I rose up, and then ended up at DreamWorks, where my career went very well. That was a great value alignment, and I have incredible respect for Stacey Snider and Steven, like just amazing leaders. And then I went to Fox, awful experience. Yeah. And at Fox, the answer to your question, now I'm giving that preamble, because I started out engineering, got into film, and then went to Fox and went back to engineering because it's the only other thing I knew how to do. You know, when I was at Fox, you know, Die Hard 5 was written by a guy. When I went there and they're like, here's the script we're working on. Now you're the executive on it. And the script was terrible. It was the sort of thing like at DreamWorks, we would have fired the writer and shelved the project, right?
Oh, wow.
But at Fox, it was like, Bruce has a window in the spring, so we're shooting it. Whatever's on the page is going to get on the screen. And you're like, but it's awful. The writer was later kicked out of the Writers Guild for plagiarism a few years after I'd left film.
Oh,
Someone
no.
told me, you know what happened to him? I was like, no, actually, I don't follow him. He's like, he got kicked out of the Writers Guild. I was like, he probably deserved that. But
That's
fun guy. Good. Super fun guy. If you wanted to do coke and hang out with hookers, he was your guy, man. He was
Everybody
awesome.
Serves value.
Oh, exactly.
Somehow.
Right. He knew the value he served. That's all I'm going to say. So I was like, wow, okay, this is a really bad fit for me because we're not going to make good movies here. Yeah. The only other thing I know how to do is engineering. So let me go do a startup. And this is, you know, when startups were kind of becoming cool. I was like, raised $3 million each for 2 little companies, right? Both of them failed. I was humiliated because all my friends in film were like watching to see like Puri left film. He's going to go do the startup thing. And when they did not work, I'm telling you, I hated going to the dry cleaners because you'd bump into your friend Nell, who's like, hey, Steven, how's it going with your thing? And you're like, terrible. Actually, I'm going to close it. We're going to basically go bankrupt. And yeah, I'm ashamed and embarrassed. I need to go now. Can I have my clothes? You know, it was like I was really depressed because I thought, oh my God, this was my leap out of film. And I fell flat on my face. Yeah. And now I can't really go back into film. I left a pretty prestigious position in a very public way to say I'm going to go get back into tech. So it'd be very hard to be like, kidding. You know, I'm back. So I was like, I got to go forward. And I moved to New York. I was so embarrassed, humiliated, whatever word you want to use. Like, I wrote myself a note. There's a chair that I had in my West Hollywood apartment where the sun came out over it, and I took a pad of paper, like old school, like pencil and paper, not dictate into my iPhone my thoughts. I was like, I want to write this out with my hand. What do I think I did wrong? And I wanted to do it while those wounds were still bleeding. Not a year later when you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. You know, life goes on. I want to do it where I was like, I want to jump out the window and kill myself, right? Yeah. And I wrote this note to myself going, what were the things I would do differently? And I have those pieces of paper actually right on the other side of my office. I keep them to remind myself of, you know, these things. So I moved to New York. I was just really embarrassed. And I didn't want to bump into friends at dinner and have any of those conversations. Yeah. So I went there for like the first 3 months. I did yoga, I ate, and I helped a friend who needed help on a commercial real estate deal. It was just an excuse to be in New York, right? Yeah. And I didn't even tell my friends in New York I was there. I just hid out. I'm like, I'm not going to bump into anyone in Manhattan. It's a big island, right? And it was when I met Laura. Okay. Doing yoga. Yeah. She was on the mat to my left one day. We chatted for like 3 or 4 months and went on a date. Amazing. Very lucky. Aww. And actually, there's a good yoga story. If you ask me later, there's a good yoga story in Bali. I'll tell you about that. Oh. I know.
I would love to hear that.
Right? So then in that next period of time is when this became more interesting to me. The idea of, okay, what have I learned? Because I've seen really high performers in film, in creative businesses, in tech, And they do things that really help them maintain a high level of quality, not get burned out, consistently deliver $1 million scripts or consistently deliver high quality, UI UX designs. And that's how I arrived at the Sukha company, saying, hey, how can I help people do great things, with, focus.
Okay.
There you go. I told you, little wind up, little long story, but you're trapped.
You're trapped here. No, this is the good kind of trapping that we like here at the What the Nell podcast.
What the Nell?
What the Nell? So, what the Nell?
Did you come up with that? Who came up with that?
I did.
Okay.
All of my great ideas come to me in the shower, and this was one of those ideas, because you know how you're like, oh, I don't have pen and paper with me. I don't have anything where I can put this down somewhere. What am I going to do? I'm going to forget about it.
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
Because I think you're going to nod and laugh by the end of the story, okay? So let us rewind to, I was a senior at USC, and I was getting my first job in film, which I hadn't really contemplated this, right? So the very first thing I did was at this ad agency that did trailers, like music videos, commercials for movies, right? Mm-hmm. Run by these two guys, very well respected in the business for being able to promote something. They could look at a movie and go, I know exactly the trailer should be sort of, right? So two great guys. So my job in this little windowless office with the door, right? My job was, we would get in rough cuts of movies from the studios. And at this time, our biggest clients were Warner Brothers and Buena Vista, which is Disney. The rough cuts would come to me, like an account exec would sell the account. Rough cuts would come in, and then I would assign them to a writer-producer. Hey, man, we just got in this new Will Ferrell rough cut from Sony for this next summer's, you did that great job last year with the Will Ferrell comedy. Write this trailer, right? Okay. So that was my job. So one of the two principals comes to my office, and this is going to tie back to your shower, by the way. It's coming back there. You just wait. It's coming. So Jeff comes to my office, and for the purposes of this story, he calls me Stevie. He's the only person in my life that's ever called me Stevie. Just go with it, okay? So he comes and he goes, Stevie, you know Bart? And I was like, yeah, there's a guy in the vault. Like, yeah, I met him. Why? He's like, you ever give Bart a trailer to write? I'm like, no, Jeff, where are you going with this? Bart, the guy who delivers tapes and picks up coffee, right? We're talking about the same Bart. He's like, yeah. I got an instinct about him, Stevie. I'm like, Jeff, you're the boss, man. Like, you've got the huge reputation. Right. So I was like, done. Let me give him something, right? So Jeff leaves. I found a Warner Brothers B title that had like a month deadline. So even if he came back after weeks, like, I hate this, I don't want to do it, I could give it to a pro who'd bang it out, right?
Yeah.
So Jeff comes to my office 2 days later. He's like, hey, Stevie, how's Bart doing? I was like, I gave him the movie 2 days ago. Jeff, I'm not going to stress him out. I'll ask him on Monday. Like, it's cool. He's like, okay. What else did you give him? Jeff, he's never written a trailer in his life. He was driving tapes around 2 days ago, right? So I didn't give him a second movie. I don't want him to blow his brains out. And Jeff's like, Stevie, let me explain to you. Creativity is always about the other thing. He's like, if you give Bart one thing to focus on, he's going to stare at that movie with little beads of sweat coming down his temples. And he's going to write the most obvious B version of that trailer you can imagine. He said, the part of your brain that does the, chocolate and peanut butter, what would they taste like? He's like, that is not the part you think you're thinking with. So you have to give him something else to think about. And I can't tell you, in the past 20 years, how many times I've seen Jeff proven correct in film and in tech. And there is a great book on the neuroscience of this called The Net and the Butterfly by Olivia Fox-Caban and Judah Pollack. And what it talks about is the research on, from a very young age, you have like a default mode network that is just exploring the world. Oh, hey, what does this cell phone taste like, And then you develop an executive mode network that the executive mode network does like the adult stuff. I have a presentation at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I got to finish the slide deck tonight. I have to pick up the kids at 5. It executes action, right? When the executive mode network is kind of busy and can't supervise default mode network, that's when default mode has that little like, hey, I have an idea. What about this? What about this? How about this? So if you ever notice, when you're showering, big one for me. Driving is another big one for me. Walking, doing the dishes, something where executive mode network can't really supervise. That's when the default mode goes, hey, you know what'd be a good blog post? Oh, you know what you should do? And that's why. And it's fascinating. Should anyone want to read the book? It's a really good explanation.
So fascinating.
Yeah. Taught to me by Jeff, who's like, Stevie, what else did you give him? I'm like, what are you talking about?
What? I can't give him another coffee order.
Right. Exactly. He can't watch that movie. I just ordered coffee.
Wow.
Yeah. Bart, by the way, is a writer producer at Fox Studios. Like,
because you gave him that job?
Well, not because I gave him, because Jeff plucked him out of the chorus line and was like, this guy has something. Jeff was spot on right. He has had a career writing promos for Fox, network, whatever.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's
Go
amazing
Jeff.
how...
Go Jeff, who's on his 5th marriage, by the way. Yeah.
Congratulations. I mean...
Right. Just cycling through.
I mean...
Still a friend. And I'm just like...
Never give up.
Really? Never give up. Married the same woman twice. I'm like, you're like the Elizabeth Taylor of fucking, promo guys. Anyway, back to you in the studio.
Back to you, Bob.
Right. So you're showering, you have great ideas. Now you know why.
Exactly. Well, and that's how What the Nell was born, from an idea in the shower. It was one of those situations where you're like, how far does Siri need me to really yell from across the room? So we test out technology in those situations. But okay, so let's get back to flow state and Sukha.
You're tickling me. I love talking about flow states. This is like candy to a baby.
Oh, I love it.
How,
flow
where,
state,
when?
Super calm. Like, I'm like, which one should I ask first? How, what, where,
I can
when?
answer. How about I'll give you an answer and then you match it with a question when I'm done. How about
that? Let's do that.
Okay, here we go. You ready? People at home are like, what the fuck is this?
This is so twisted.
This is not like her other episodes, right? But at least it's still in English. So
exactly.
Here is a Steven learned something story when Steven didn't know what the hell was going on. So I was flying from Austin to San Francisco, and the next day I was going to meet with my team, and I wanted to show them an idea I had for a feature. I was sort of like on the flight, kind of mock it up, be like, something like this, and if you like it, let's make it better and do it, right? Get on, Alaska runs the nonstop on that route. Get on the flight, captain's like, hey, Wi-Fi's out, kids, sorry. Boom, right? I start a little working. 15 minutes later, we're starting to descend, and I think we're at Dallas, we're at DFW. Like, we didn't make it out of Texas. The engine fell off or something where they don't want to tell us what's wrong, right? We're going to be on the ground. They're like, didn't want to scare you, but we have no hydraulics. I looked down. Over 2 hours and 40 minutes had gone by from the last time I looked at my clock. And my designs were done, and we were landing in SF.
Wow.
And it was a very strange feeling. I could not tell you if the drink cart came by. I couldn't tell you the name of my seatmate, right? I hadn't gone to the bathroom.
Did I lose consciousness?
Right. What was that? And I liked what I'd done, and I felt kind of like, oh, this is cool. I was prepared mentally for run through hotel lobby, grab sandwich, go up to room, finish the thing I didn't finish on the flight. In reality, I called a buddy of mine. I was like, dude, I have a free night in SF. You want to have dinner? That was cool. Like, I dug that, right? I didn't know what a flow state was. All I knew is I had this experience where I felt better at the end. I liked the work I'd done, and I'd done it really quickly. In like 2.5 hours, I'd done what I thought would take me hours and hours to mock this thing up. So later, after reading all these smart people who have written about, this thing, I was like, oh, that's a repeatable process. Why did no one ever effing tell me about this when I was like 25? What? And I know some people, some part of your audience is like flow master. I know exactly all about flow states. I suspect there's some cohort that's like, I know it's in the zeitgeist and all the cool kids are talking about flow states, but what is it exactly? So is it fair if I spend 60 seconds on what's a flow state?
Yeah.
Okay. So there was a Hungarian, actually, he died 4 years ago this month. There was a Hungarian-American psychologist, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, and he had a thesis. He's like, high performers in these different disciplines, like athletes and artists and scientists, and like They go into these concentrated states where they do the thing that makes them famous, like the thing that changes the world. And they describe it in very similar ways. He's like, what up with that? So he went off and did the research. And at the end of it, he wrote a book called Flow, which is the seminal work on this. It is from whence we get the term flow state. And he said the coolest thing. He said, I chose this title because it was the most beautiful metaphor I could find for what I saw, which is we're all on the river paddling to move ourselves forward. But if you align your boat with the current, it carries you forward. It magnifies your efforts. And that's what these people have figured out how to do consistently. And I was like, this is magic.
Yeah.
And as you know, since he wrote this, a number of people have done the standing on shoulders of giants and like doing research on what music helps you get into it, what sort of rhythm of working, when you should take breaks, like how to manage, your mind and block distractions and all this stuff. And he said, here's the thing is flow states seem to have these characteristics. You lose track of time. You're totally in what you're doing. You're doing something meaningful and like you're totally in it. Distractions don't get through to you. At the end of it, you feel actually like energized and like in control of your energy as opposed to depleted.
Huh.
And he said, I just wanted to share, Prometheus going up to Mount Olympus and saying, hey, I'm going to go get some fire and bring it down to the rest of us. He was like, this is a thing that we could all do. And it was amazing and generous what he did. And the people like Kotler and, Cal Newport writing on deep work and shallow work and, Nir Eyal writing about internal triggers and external triggers. Like a lot of people have written really smart stuff on this. And you did a great episode on procrastination and prioritization and how to like not get overwhelmed. I mean, that was actually of the episodes I've listened to, that was my favorite one, even though it was pretty serious, unlike this episode, right? But also you didn't have a fun guest on, so of course it was serious, right? So let's not make this all about you. Let's make this about me. So I say this to say, when I understood this, when I learned this, I thought, oh, if there are like 5 components kind of doing this, how could I, because I do struggle with procrastination, like in the morning, I do find myself checking emails when I should start. I find myself doom scrolling just to stay up on the news when I really should start. Like I procrastinate. I get distracted. If I run into something hard that I'm writing a blog post or coding or something and something's not working, I will reach my phone and check my WhatsApp or check my TikTok or check my email, right? I know the distractions get me. And I was like, how do I make a website with a big play button right in the middle of it? That I just hit it in the morning and it just helps me block everything out and get back to that place of the airplane.
Yeah.
And that was why I did this. And I'll tell you this is probably the most important thing I've done in my life, short of marrying Laura and getting pregnant. But short of that, like all the movies, people love talking to me about the movies I worked on. Movies are a group effort. 1 million people help make them. They're fun and all that, but like they don't really change the world. Yeah. Helping people do stuff, like this is the thing I'm most passionate about because I have a deep thesis. Like Mihai had his thesis about, hey man, high performers do this magic thing. What is it, right? I have my thesis, which is we all have something great inside us. And the question of this lifetime is, are you going to get it out or not? And there are enough forces in this world to make sure you don't, Yeah. The $1 trillion companies, they're like, their business model is straight up steal your life, period, full stop. And they're not embarrassed about it anymore. It used to be, Zuckerberg would go testify in Congress and be like, oh, Facebook's just for grandmothers seeing, their grandkids' video. No, they are full out. Hey, this is how much of everyone's lives we stole last quarter. And to boost our share price, we're employing these techniques to steal more people's lives in the coming quarter. And that will boost our share price. And isn't that great? And when you think about it, it's like if Mark were to call you up and say, hey, Nell, could I have your life? Because I'm going to sell it to these advertisers and I'll keep the money. But I'm going to give you some dancing cat videos, right? Is that a good trade, buddy? It sounds ridiculous. That's spot on what's going on. So in that tug of war for your life, on one side, you have $1 trillion companies who can give the biggest paychecks to the best designers, engineers, behavioral psychologists, and they are pulling on the other side of that tug of war is you. How are you going to do the thing you're capable of in that unfair situation? You have to have some tools. You have to have allies, you know? And that's really what I'm doing with my life now, is for the people who are like raising their hand, I refuse to die with that thing inside me. Whatever it may be, writing the next great American novel, creating a cool app, running a side hustle, you know, running your blog, whatever it is, the people raise their hand and go, no, man, like, I want to do it. I want to do the thing. I don't want to be the 80-year-old on the sofa scrolling and double tapping, talking about, I coulda. Oh, I had that idea for a novel. Oh, I had that idea for a company. I could have done that too. No one wants to be around you. You don't want to be that person. But you got to raise your hand at some point and go, okay, I'm going to do the thing. And I want to help the people who want to do the thing.
So powerful. I'm just envisioning like my 80-year-old self sitting there going, I don't want to be the person that has to wonder.
Yeah, what the Nell happened?
Yeah, what the Nell? What if I would have done this? What if I?
Yeah, and that is those companies are betting that they can get you to give them your life. That is their business. Period. Man. Yeah,
it's like I'm fired up. Fired up, Steven.
Get fired up. And I hope if there's one person who listens to this who says, you know what? Fuck it. I got to do the thing. I refuse to go down that path. It's going to be harder. On a daily basis, you actually have to be motivated. You have to make a decision to go, I'm going to put down the phone and do the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Get that chip on your shoulder. Yeah. That's huge. That's so huge. It's one of the most powerful ways that I've heard anybody describe motivation.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about the powers that be, I mean, I refer to Mark as the Lizard King. My have friends that we just call him the Lizard King.
Pretty apt.
I mean, and the way that we as a general public or society, we think that we're being not taken care of, but as though there aren't forces out there like that are trying to rule our lives.
Yeah.
The way that we pretend we don't know it or don't see it or don't care or welcome it is really terrifying.
I hope, because, I'm thinking a lot about having kids. Like my son comes in 5 weeks. Daughter, we're hoping in 2 years. I hope that their generation looks at us and social media the way I look at my dad's generation and smoking. Where I'm like, Dad, like 3 of your friends died of lung cancer in the hospital. You saw them die in front of you. You have emphysema. How did you smoke? How did you do that to yourself? And my dad's point of view is, you don't understand. Movie stars were all smoking. It was cool, and the tobacco companies were putting out studies how healthy tobacco was. We didn't know we're all going to die of lung cancer. I sure hope my kids' generation look at us and they're like, how did you waste your days like watching Kim Kardashian ads for her underwear that gets 15 million likes? And like that was how you spent your time watching ads from some girl who made a porn video. It sounds ridiculous. It's what we're doing. So I hope that there is that generational shift of like, okay, we didn't know the can of worms were opening up with tobacco and cigarettes, but now everyone's kind of like, we get it. Everyone died, right?
Yeah.
And I hope with social media, people are like, okay, so that was a really, really interesting experiment. And,
Wow. I mean, social media, I would definitely say is probably one of the biggest distractions. I mean, I hear you.
100%.
The procrastination. I'm doing the same thing first thing in the morning. I love watching reels because sometimes they make me laugh and sometimes I want to laugh in the morning,
Totally with you.
So there's the doom scrolling, the procrastinating. And then I'm like, well, I should be informed. I have a meeting this afternoon. What if someone brings up a topic
the same thing.
Pop culture and I don't know about it? And then I looked up. So then I got to go look at the news. And it's so much of feeling like you need to keep up, but really it's an excuse to stay out of the flow state.
It is so true. And I'll tell you, because this is a thing for me, I told you this, is phone is a distraction. There's some websites that are a distraction. I was like, I need help. In in the Sukha, in the website, when you press play, a QR code pops up. I can tap with my phone, put my phone down. If I pick up my phone while I'm working, my smart assistant, my laptop, speaks to me and says, "Hey, Steven, I see you on your phone. Like, is that helping you?" And it just gives me that 1 second of deciding, who do I want to be? Do I want to be the guy who's like grumpy, like, "Oh, I didn't get stuff done. I was busy all day, but I didn't get it done." Or do I want to be the guy who's like, "Yeah, I feel Sukha. I feel that I'm in control of my life. I'm feeling great."
Yeah.
And it's the same with websites. You can declare what websites distract you. And if you open it, your smart assistant will be like, "Hey man, I see you on YouTube. Is that helping you?" And you just get to decide. If you decide to stay on it, you can do that. But it's like having a friend who's sitting there, working with you in a coffee shop, and it's like, "Hey man, I see you screwing around. Like, is that where you want to spend your time?" And you get to choose.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Wow, that's interesting. So tell us what are some other benefits of the Sukha? How does this work? So like you said, you hit play, a QR code pops up, and it's like a personal assistant, an accountability coach almost.
Yeah, if you open it up, you have little cards. Each card is a module. There's like a card for music where you can tap it and choose a playlist, set your volume, right? There's a card for your tasks where, as you said in a previous episode, which I effing loved, was you can't look at 17 things and just jump around. You have to. So you can enter your tasks, and there's a little card that as you work shows you your top 3. And that's it. It hides everything else. And it shows you a little progress bar. Like as you work, the little bar goes across the task. So if you say, as you brought up, you need a time box. I give myself 45 minutes for this, which is amazing the way when you actually time box, you magically finish in the time you set. It's when you don't set a time that it sprawls, right? So we make you set a time. This should take me an hour. And you see a little time bar that goes across. You can jump, look up and be like, "Oh, I should be about halfway done." Okay, cool. You can time block, time your calendar, which, you've talked about. I won't belabor that.
Yep.
You can see your own score, because I really loved understanding my rhythms. And this is going to sound crazy, but one of the things Mihai wrote about is he said, it seems like to stay in the flow state, you need to get feedback about how you're doing. Like there's a famous Michael Jordan quote about, "When I'm in the zone, it's just me and the ball." And there's a Picasso quote about, like, I'm going to paraphrase, but he's like, "I was up all night. I forgot to pee. I didn't eat. But hey, Guernica, like, what do you think? Like, I've been working on this thing." And there's an ability to look up at the scoreboard and be, "How am I doing?" There's an ability to stand back and go, "Is this canvas reflecting the horrors of war?" And so what I thought is, we should give people, as they work, including myself, a graph. So you get points as you don't touch your phone. You get 5 points a minute. You don't open a distracting website. You get 5 points a minute. You do the things. You complete your tasks starting at the top. You get points. All these things you get points for. But you pick up your phone, you lose 100 points. You open ESPN.com, which, by the way, seasonally, it's very interesting what people set as their distractions. Like NFL.com right now is a big distraction. Yeah. So you open that, lose 100 points. And what's interesting is you can scroll through your past sessions and you can see your habits. It was how I learned my score goes up. And then usually around 35, 45 minutes, there's a dip. And I was like, oh, because you scroll, and as you move across the little graph, it shows you a pop-up of what did you do in that 5-minute chunk. And somewhere around 45 minutes, I would usually pick up my phone. And I was like, okay, so I can do one of two things. Either really be much more disciplined with my phone, not picking it up, or I can say, you know what? 45 minutes is when I do want to have a little break. Why don't I just set my timer to, after 45 minutes, give me a break?
Right.
And that's what I do. They're right in the center of the screen. There's a play button with the Pomodoro timer, and you can set how long you want to work and how long your break is. And on your break, we give you like breathing exercise if you want to do that for 5 minutes. If you want to do a stretching exercise, or you can get points for getting a glass of water. You get points for going. It's on the honor system. We trust you got a glass of water. You went for a walk. Again, honor system. We can't watch you. Right. If you're like, I went for a quick walk.
Not yet.
It's just importante to go, like, move your body a little bit and not just sit there for hours.
I see this being something huge for leadership teams, management, to encourage their teams to be using. As productivity manager, basically, to make sure, and wellness, making sure that your team is getting, good amounts of water, taking the walks, and
being healthy.
allows them to be better people and better productivity, better workers. But also, it's a really good way to, monitoring time cards and things like that is really unsexy, right? But
yes,
when you wrap all of that into this beautiful little wellness package here, it's a good way to track time and what's being done and when the best timing is for certain projects to be done. I mean, how freaking cool is that?
And also being in control of your time. Yeah. Like, I'll tell you, I chose this weird name. People ask me frequently, what is Sukha? Why did you choose this? What is this? And I'll tell you, so Laura and I, when we got married, remember we do yoga pretty much every day together, right?
Yeah.
We went on our honeymoon to Bali. Great place to do yoga, chill on the beach with your wife,
Beautiful.
Like have 10 days alone, right? So on the way there, I was talking to her. I said, we had a working version of this that didn't have a title. It had a working title, right? And I was like, the next 10 days, no one's going to bug me. They know I'm on my honeymoon. Maybe my unconscious mind will bubble up some cool name for this. Because Amazon is not called like online bookstore. Amazon's kind of a cool name, like Nike, Winged Victory. Like it's not really called like shoe store,
right.
And I was like, I want to find some name that like captures like some essence of what I'm trying to do. But I just keep coming up with awful names, like Flow State App, Distraction Blocker 12, like just bad.
The Distraction Blocker 12,000.
I 12,000 exactly. It's the XR 4000 Distraction Blocker, right? And Laura being amazing is just like, I wish that for you. I hope the next 10 days the universe speaks to you. So we got there. And I said, I think something that would fuel my unconscious is, do you mind if I talk to a couple of these early members, like beta testers today, and just say, like, what's your favorite feature? And maybe hearing from them, that'll bubble up something. She's like, I'm going to the pool. You could enjoy your Zooms. I will see you at dinner, right? So I was like, okay. So I put a little note in the group chat, who is 10 minutes to chat, talked to 3 people, and asked that. I was just like, hey, what's your favorite feature? Do you love the music? So we have 1,000 hours of music. Do you love the smart assistant that keeps you off your phone or websites? Do you love the timer? Do you love the tasks? Do you love the scoring thing? No, what do you love, right? Third guy was going to the wrap up. I'm trying to be respectful. I was like, hey, it's been almost 10 minutes. I want to let you go. I promised 10 minutes. I really appreciate everything you told me. And he stopped me. He said, Steven, you asked the wrong questions. And I was like, okay, guy, I don't know that well. Like, what was the right question? And he's like, you should have asked me why I pay you. And I was like, dude, we charge like $10 a month. It's like 30 cents a day. I don't collect a salary from this. Neither does Tony, who's, my partner. We do this because we just think the world needs it. Like, okay, but I'll take the bait. Why do you pay me? And he said, so the past year or two, I find I have 2 kinds of days. At 3:00, I can be playing with my kids. They're currently 2 and 4. Or at 6:00, I can be down on myself. Like, where did the day go? I suck. I was busy, but I didn't get the thing done. Am I going to get up early tomorrow and try and finish it? And I realized the difference between those days is, did I hit play in your website that morning before I started? So I pay you because my kids are not going to be 2 and 4 forever. Okay, you won that round. Did not see that answer coming. So I was like, thank you. So I go to dinner with Laura. I was like, I spoke to this guy who's like more articulate about what I'm trying to do than I am. And I told her what she said. She's like, that's really good. Like, you should hire him. Like, that's really good. And we were going to bed that night, like cute little honeymooners on our first night, wearing little spa robes, brushing our little teeth. And she looked at me. She goes, you wanted the universe to speak to you. It did through that guy. In yoga, like we hear all these Sanskrit terms for prana, your life force, and dharma, your duty, and karma. He described you as Sukha. That feeling when you're in control, when you're in your lane, doing the thing you're great at, you can do with ease and you're in control. She's like, that's what you should call your company. Stop trying to name it after the tool. Name it after how he feels. So I looked up on my phone, the Sukha company website. $14 later, it was mine. That was it. Next to my partner, I was like, we have a name.
That's amazing. That's so good. That's such a good story. Oh my gosh, the Sukha.
Thanks to that guy, man. And he's still a member. I see him in the group chat every now and then.
That's amazing.
Usually complaining about some bug. He's like, this morning, the music's not playing. I'm like, I'm sorry, we're fixing it.
There's always one.
But great to have user feedback. Just
exactly.
Saying,
we all need feedback. It doesn't mean it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But okay, so wrapping up the episode,
yes.
This app sounds incredible, and like
Super
if you're a manager of a team, if you are in some sort of leadership role, if you are a person like me, like you, Steven, who finds yourself procrastinating and delaying things and thinking at the end of the day, you know what, I should have gotten this done, but I didn't because I spent too much time on social media.
Yep.
Then this is for you. So tell us, Steven, how can people get in touch how can they get the app?
Oh,
and
sure.
Where can they find you and all the things?
I will offer two things. Number one, if I have said anything that someone has a question about, like, oh man, who's Cal Newport or that guy Near or the Hungarian dude or what should I read? My email address is very public. I do this to help. You can email me, Steven with a V, at the Sukha, of course, TheSukha.co for company, right?
Got it.
Email me. I will send you back a short email, just here's a link to Cal Newport's latest book or whatever, but something to help. It will not be the story of my life. You don't want to read it. I don't have time to write it, but I do reply to all my emails in 24 hours if I'm not traveling or sick. So that's a genuine offer. And the other thing is if someone wants to try to get into a flow state, our website is free for 7 days. No credit card. You can sign up in 20 seconds. Bring a task. This is the thing is you don't get into a flow state in like 4 seconds. Yeah. So if you come and you hit play and you're like, oh, there's music, and you leave, you'll never have that magic of like you worked for an hour on something and you're like, oh my God, I'm done. And I feel great. Like you have to kind of work for an hour. But try it. You can try it for 7 days. Free. If you dig it, sign up, help us pay the server bill.
Amazing. I love that so much. I got to go get my free trial. But all of those links and the information will be in the show notes. And if you're on YouTube, the description below, of course. So, Steven, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
This was so much fun, and I can't wait to check out the app, and I can't wait for all of our listeners and viewers to check it out as well. And speaking of, if you are a listener here of the What the Nell podcast, thank you for making it this far.
Subscribe,
we would absolutely love, a follow, a like, a subscribe, a review.
It helps other people find the pod.
Yes, that is the other thing too. Not only does
Feed
it
the
directly
algorithm.
Support, it also feeds the algorithm as well. So we can all use some algorithmic help. Maybe one day someone will develop an app for figuring out the algorithm. How about that, Steven? Can we get
all I can promise is if 5,000 people like this episode, we will do the next one in Down Dog.
Sold.
Done.
That's a promise.
Yes.
Steven, thank you so much for being here, and thank you to all of you, of course. And as always, I will catch you on the next one.
Thanks for listening.